Some love stories are meant to sweep you off your feet. Others, like the Before trilogy, aren't just about romance. They're about time, change, and the way we evolve alongside people we love. Richard Linklater's Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight follow Jesse and Celine across nearly 2 decades, capturing the magic of new love, the weight of missed opportunities, and the reality of long-term relationships. Few films achieve this level of authenticity, and even fewer allow us to grow with the characters in real time. And one of the things I love most about the trilogy is the intellectual curiosity of both Jesse and Celine. Their charm, realness, and undeniable chemistry make this one of the great cinematic love stories. And the fact that we followed them in real time over 20 years adds that layer of authenticity that few films achieve. This trilogy is special, not just for what it says about love, but for what it says about us. Rewatching these films recently, I found myself reflecting on the trilogy's themes, and I wanted to share some personal reflections on them. I love the free-spirited nature of Before Sunrise, the youthful confidence, the spontaneous adventure, and the deep conversations they share. There are moments of awkwardness, where their discussions aren't quite as profound as I'd remembered, but that only adds to the realism. I mean, in my mind, I had built it up as flawless, but revisiting it, I see that it's more natural, more raw. And then there are moments where they hit on something truly profound, of course, too. One aspect that still challenges me is their decision not to exchange contact information. It feels unnecessary, almost like an arbitrary game. And at the same time, I respect their desire to let fate take its course. Looking at them now, it's easy to see how bold and reckless youth can be, how we can move through life assuming there will always be more chances. And my favorite quote from this movie is when Celine says, "I believe if there's any kind of God, it wouldn't be in any of us. Not you or me, but just this little space in between. If there's any kind of magic in this world, it must be in the attempt of understanding someone, sharing something. I know, it's almost impossible to succeed, but who cares, really? The answer must be in the attempt." Before Sunset has always been my favorite, and I think it always will be. I love the idea of them reconnecting after years of life experiences. Their conversations are deeper, more grounded, more eloquent. There's a weight to them now. They've been through things, and they're not just discussing abstract ideas anymore. They're confronting real consequences of the choices they've made. The urgency of Jesse's flight adds tension, but deep down, you know they won't let this slip away again. And this time they're aware of what's at stake. The film doesn't provide a definite conclusion, but in many ways, it's the perfect ending that isn't an ending. My favorite quote from this one is, again, Celine, who says, "I guess when you're young, you believe there will be many people with whom you'll connect with. And later in life, you realize it only happens a few times." In some ways, Before Midnight is the movie I didn't want to happen, because what happens here is exactly what you'd expect. After years together, love has been tested, strained by time and circumstance. It's brutally honest, and that's what makes it hard to watch for me. While I appreciate its realism, it dampens some of the magic of the first 2 films. I found myself identifying more with Jesse's point of view in this one. I see why he's difficult to be with, but Celine's relentless overanalyzing, her resistance to compromise, it felt like, and her unwillingness to even consider moving to Chicago for his son, it frustrated me. Still, the final scene, I think, offers a glimmer of hope, just enough to make it worthwhile, even though this one is by far the heaviest. Their dynamic is painful to watch at times because it reflects many real relationships, one person trying to keep things light, the other worrying, and both unable to fully see the other's perspective. So, given what I just said, my favorite moment from this movie is a dialogue between them at the end. Celine: "Okay, Jesse, can you stop this stupid game? We're not in one of your stories, okay? Did you hear what I said to you back in the room? Did you hear me?" Jesse: "Yes, I heard you. That you don't love me anymore. I figured you didn't mean it, but if you did, then fuck it. You know something? You're just like the little girls and everybody else. You want to live in some fairy tale. I'm trying to make things better here. I tell you I love you unconditionally. I tell you that you're beautiful. I tell you that your ass looks great when you're 80. I'm trying to make you laugh. I put up with plenty of your shit, and if you think I'm just some dog who's going to keep coming back, then you're wrong. But if you want true love, This is it. This is real life. It's not perfect, but it's real. And if you can't see it, then you're blind, all right? I give up. So the big question now is, will there be another one? And I don't know. I'd be open to it, but I'm not sure if I want to know where they are now. If a fourth film happens, I could see them being separated from the beginning. That's where we start, living their own lives, but still connected through their daughters in some unspoken bond that they've always felt. This trilogy reminds me of Past Lives a bit. That's a story about deep connection that transcends time. Past Lives explores the idea of inyan, the Korean concept of fate, where every encounter carries meaning from past lives. The idea that two people can be bound together in ways beyond comprehension resonates deeply with this trilogy. It's an interesting movie if you haven't seen Past Lives. One interesting observation that I read was how the trilogy begins and ends in a similar way. Before Sunrise opens with an older German couple arguing on a train, and this sets the stage for Jesse and Celine's first conversation. By the end of Before Midnight, they're the ones arguing in a cafe. But unlike the nameless couple, we see them pull back from the brink. Now, we don't know if that older couple ever worked things out, but Jesse and Celine seem to find a way in this one. It's a subtle but poetic full-circle moment. I think this trilogy is about love in its many forms, idealized, rekindled, challenged, and ultimately endured. It doesn't give us a fairy tale ending, but something more valuable perhaps, the beauty of real, imperfect, and evolving love.